What up? I'm Josh Paulison, and welcome to my programming blog. Today I want to talk about full screen. So you've perhaps used the full screen setup before in JavaScript, and it's pretty straightforward. You request full screen, you make sure that you have that permission, and then you enter or exit full screen. Now the trick is that you need some browser prefixes. Fortunately, recently Firefox dropped the need to have the Moz prefix, but you still need WebKit for Safari and Opera. Who cares about Opera? But you need it for Safari. So we've got here the WebKit version, and basically what I have is that it checks what we have, what type of full screen call we need, and then it ends up defining the full screen property so that in here, if I want, I can go showponies.vn.fullscreen, and I can set it to true, and I can also set it to false. Also, I could just hit the button on the screen, but where's the fun in that? Now here's where things get tricky. You'll also notice on this chart, iOS Safari is not supported. And this isn't likely to change anytime soon, because I don't know why. Android supports it, even BlackBerry supports it. Firefox for Android supports it wholeheartedly, but our good friend iOS, thank you Apple. So what do we do in that situation? Well, we can create a fallback full screen setup. And ShowPonies made it support modern browsers, so the only reason I care about this is because of Safari, not because of other old browsers. So if I click full screen now, it ends up filling up the window space. And if you were on a browser, what you could do to have this then fill the screen is hit F11 or whatever key you have set for full screen, and there. It looks just like the other full screen mode, actually. So what are we doing here? We end up getting this element, and we end up adding a class sFullScreenAlternative. Then we end up putting sFullScreenControl over the HTML tag. What this ends up doing is it ends up making sure that we can't scroll behind the window. I want to pull up that CSS so that you can see it. Because you could end up actually scrolling a window behind the full screen element otherwise. So full screen body, background color also is set to black, and overflow is hidden. So that way, if you have this, you can't scroll and then mess with the stuff behind it. And in case there's anything weird that's poking out, you can have it be covered in black. And also, if there's any clear stuff here, then you'll see through to the black, which is what you'll generally want. Going back here, the other thing that we have to do is that we have to make this fixed, which is part of the class, but then we have to set the z-index above the highest z-index. Let's say that there's a fixed element and it has a z-index of 999. Well, this element then needs to have a z-index of 1000. So if we go here, we'll see that we are looking through all of the elements, and we are getting the z-index, and we end up getting the highest z-index, and we add 1 to it. Now, this is kind of a very short way to do it. We have this. I don't know if it's the fastest way. I might look up some other methods, but this is how we end up putting the element on top. We set the z-index higher than the highest one, and then when we end up exiting full screen mode, we reset it back to its previous z-index. This is the hoop that you have to jump through to get full screen working on iOS. Now, I assume that, and I don't have an iPhone to really test this with real hardware physically, but I assume you would still see the info bar at the top, and so it wouldn't technically be full screen, but this is the closest that we can get. If you know of a better way, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. And that is the setup for getting full screen working on iOS or on browsers that do not, in fact, support full screen. So you just make sure that full screen isn't actually supported, and then you end up making it fill up the window and put its z-index above everything else.